Welcome to Sun Devil Stadium for today's game between the world champion Washington Redskins and the Phoenix Cardinals. The weather? Well, it's hot. The Phoenicians say the weather has broken, that it's cooled off a great deal. The good news is it is dry. And hi, everybody. I'm Tim Brant, along with John Dockery. And, Doc, what can we expect today out of these two teams?
Well, you mentioned Mark Rippon. He's starting in his first pro debut for the Washington Redskins. He's got to be the largest quarterback in captivity, 6'4", 234 pounds. Like Doug Williams, he has a strong arm, not much mobility. Interesting, to a man, the Redskins will tell you that this untested neophyte can drive this powerful Washington machine. That question will be answered, as will the question of how long Neil Lomax will play and how effective he'll be. You see, Neil has been in and out of pain with an arthritic hip. He couldn't finish against Tampa Bay last week. He's concerned about his football future, but also concerned about things very basic, like whether he'll be able to walk and play with his kids 5 or 10 years from now. Tim?
All right, Doc. You see, this is impressive. The two top offensive teams in the NFL. The Redskins have won 7 of the last 8 meetings between these two clubs. Washington won the toss. Al Del Greco will kick off. And deep for Washington, Jamie Morris. Keep in mind, Keith Griffin is back in camp with the Redskins. He was waived earlier. They brought him back as a return man. And we're underway. This is Morris. Taken down rather rudely at the 18-yard line by Ricky Moore. A 15-yard return. And so Mark Rippon comes into the ball game, his first career start in an NFL regular season game. The defense he'll be facing is a formidable one. It has played well thus far this season. The ball is marked at the 19. Timmy Smith is the deep back along with Donnie Warren. Warren now goes to tight end. McEwen drops back. Timmy Smith gets a couple. Let's take a look at the offensive or defensive talent, rather, for the Cardinals. Freddie Joe Nunn, Bob Clasby, Steve Albert, and Rod Sadler up front. The linebackers, Bell, Nico Nogo, and E.J. Jr. And in the secondary, and this is a revamped secondary. Leonard Smith traded this week to Buffalo. Mitchell joins the Cards, so Lonnie Young moves to strong safety. Cedric Mack is in there as a starter. 2nd and 9 from the 20. Again, the give straight ahead, not much there. Maybe 2. Tackle was made by Noga. 5-year veteran, 235-pounder out of Hawaii. The offensive lineup for Washington. Mark Rippon at quarterback, Timmy Smith. The wideouts, Art Monk, Gary Clark, Donnie Warren at tight end. The H-back is Greg McEwen. And there's Jake Tillman, Mackenzie May, and Lachey. Jake Jacoby, one of the jumbos. 5 defensive back now for the Cardinals. Kelvin Bryant, the third down specialist in for Washington on 3rd and 6. Rippon's first pass. Drilled across the middle. First down, Washington. Gary Clark.
Mark Rippon's first NFL completion. Simply a square in by Clark. Not a tough throw. Looked a little bit tentative, but got the ball there with man-to-man coverage. He got great blocking. Look at this. He waits. They said he's patient. They say he's smart. They say if he plays within himself, he'll be able to carry this Redskin team.
Not a tough throw. That's easy for you to say up here 50 yards. First down, Washington. Give off the left side, big hole. Smith picks up 4. Tim McDonald makes the tackle.
And Joe Gibbs was telling Mark Rippon all week long. I mean, the last few days, obviously, Doug Williams had the appendectomy on Wednesday night. Rippon found out. And all he said to his young quarterback was to relax. You're smart. You know the game plan as well as anyone, possibly better than the other quarterbacks. And just execute and don't take it all on your own shoulders.
Second down and 4 at the 49. This is Monk in motion. Cardinals may have jumped. Smith is nailed quickly by Rod Sadler. No flags.
And if I were the Cardinals, I'd try to get some penetration like Sadler does. You watch him on the bottom part of your screen. He just gets great penetration from the backside. You see him following right there. He follows Jacoby and comes from behind to make the tackle. And if I were the Cardinals, I'd try to put young Mark Rippon in a kind of situation where he had to make big plays and not let him hide out within that offense, that strong offense of the Washington Redskins.
Gene Stallings, the head coach of the Cardinals, feels he's on the verge of making the breakthrough here in Phoenix, that his team is coming around nicely. It's 3rd and 9 from the 44. Pressure backside. Rippon steps in the pocket nicely. Complete to Art Monk. Oh, what a catch. Tim McDonald made the tackle on Monk, but Monk, great concentration, pulls it in. And Rippon now 2 for 2 in his pro career.
He's 2 for 2. This is a nice throw, but if you watch carefully, look at number 43, Lonnie Young. He's playing inside. They're doubling Monk, and Young might have had a shot at this ball. See him right there underneath. The ball is thrown high, and Monk, just with great concentration, pulls it in. You're right, Rippon 2 for 2. What a debut.
First down at the 30, Washington. Smith, big hole. Inside the 25 to the 24-yard line.
And it's amazing, Tim, talking to Rippon yesterday, he told us he had butterflies. He had butterflies, and he's just that kind of a quarterback that he does get nervous before the game. But right now, he looks cool, calm, and collected.
Greg McEwen with a big block that time. Opened the hole, and again, McDonald came up. McDonald coming off a fractured ankle last year, played in only 3 games. 11 tackles, 1 interception for the Cardinals. It'll be second down and 3 at the 23, Washington. And the Redskins want a timeout. So a 20-yard strike to Clark, a 26-yard strike to Art Monk. And that's quite a debut, is right.
And what a beginning, and that's exactly what Joe Gibbs was hoping for. The starting quarterback, his Super Bowl quarterback, goes down. Mark Rippon, as you know, Tim, has been with the team for 2 years, but he's really been injured most of those 2 years. This year in preseason, he's played well. I saw Dan Henning before the game, and he said, you know, this is the kind of quarterback that may not be able to carry a team. He may not be a great quarterback, but he's not going to make many mistakes. And that's all we ask of him.
Mark Rippon said as he comes out today that he would have some strong butterfly sensations, but that is not new for him.
The butterflies were always there, always, you know, it's just been born nature to me that, you know, anything kind of competitive thing that I got in, I was always nervous, and it just shows your, I guess, your competitive aspect. And probably in today's game, it'll be the same, you know. Once I think that first snap gets over with, I can kind of get into a sort of a flow and a settlement in the game and get everything on an even keel.
He's in the flow now. 8th play of this drive coming up. The Redskins have had the ball 5 minutes. Smith around the left side has a couple. E.J. Jr. tracks him down there.
And you try to get a feel for what the Redskins are going to try to do in young Mark Rippon. And I was talking to Dan Henning down in the field before the game. I said, tell me about your unknown commodity. I said, who is he like? And he said, well, he's kind of a throwback to the old type of quarterback, like a Roman Gabriel or a Tobin Rote. Big, strong, able to shed tackles, not a great amount of mobility, strong arm.
He is a power guy, 6'4", 234 pounds, like a linebacker. 9 minutes, 22 seconds remain first period. It is 1st and 10, Washington at the 19. Smith in a whole lot of trouble, and he loses a couple. Freddie Joe Nunn, along with E.J. Jr.
And if the Cardinals are going to stop this Redskin offense with that huge offensive line, they're going to have to get that kind of penetration from Freddie Joe Nunn, who was a linebacker and, of course, has made that transition to left defensive end and doing a good job. #1 draft choice in '85. Freddie Joe Nunn has to get that kind of penetration.
Anthony Jones goes out of the ball game along with Ricky Sanders. Sanders comes in, so it's Clark, Sanders, and Monk. 2nd and 16. Straight ahead inside the 20 to the 17-yard line goes Smith. Nico Noga out of Hawaii made the tackle.
Interesting balanced attack. Again, they're trying to mix the run and the pass. They're trying to let Mark Rippon get his feet wet in the NFL in his first start.
If you're keeping track of play selection, 8 runs, 2 passes. I don't think they've changed the game plan at all. 3rd and 9. 5 defensive backs for the Cardinals. A flag. There is still time on the clock, so it doesn't look like delay of game against Washington. Here's the call.
False start prior to the snap. Number 66 offense, still 3rd down.
That's Joe Jacoby. False start. We want to welcome those of you who have been watching the Chicago-Green Bay game. Chicago wins that one 24-6. Welcome to Sun Devil Stadium. Washington received
timeout.
The opening kickoff.
Phoenix first.
And
Timeout.
this is the opening drive. It is scoreless with 7 minutes and 33 seconds remaining first period. It is 3rd and 14 Washington. Tim Brant and John Dockery with you. And that man right there is the story. Mark Rippon filling in for Doug Williams.
And Rippon, a huge quarterback, we mentioned, 6'4", 234. Doug Williams, of course, out with that emergency appendectomy. Rippon in his first National Football League start. He started off with 2 pass completions. He looks comfortable running the offense.
I'll tell you, Doc, he started out sharp. 20-yarder to Clark, 26-yarder to Monk. 8 runs, 2 pass plays. 10 plays in this drive.
And Joe Gibbs and the Washington Redskins aren't asking him to do it all by himself. They're asking him to rely on that good offensive line, the Hogs, fine running back in Timmy Smith, and a good defense.
So it'll be 3rd and 14 from the 23. Washington comes in with Clark, Sanders, Warren, Monk. They load up with all their receivers, and Kelvin Bryant, the 3rd down specialist, is in as well. Monk in motion, Rippon to throw. As Monk, touchdown Washington. What a debut.
The thing you have to like about young Mark Rippon is that he was actually looking for one receiver, Kelvin Bryant, out of the backfield. He was covered. He comes back very coolly with a lot of protection and finds Art Monk for the touchdown.
Chip Lowmiller on for Washington to attempt the extra point. It's up, and it's good. 7-0 Washington with 7:27 remaining first period.
And take a look. He was looking to the right side. He took his time. He had great protection. He came back. He found Monk beating Young. Touchdown.
Well, the misfortune of Doug Williams has been a motivational tool for these players. They love Doug Williams. But the battle cry here in Phoenix since the team arrived late last evening has been, we'll rally round Rip.
And they've done that. When you think about the quarterback situation in Washington, you know, it was Schrader for Theismann, and then it was Williams for Schrader, and now it's Rippon for Williams, at least for the next 4 or 5 weeks until Doug Williams comes back.
Well, the Redskins have not missed a beat. This is the 4th game in a row Washington has scored on its first possession. The only team in the NFL to do that.
You know, Tim, we talked about the quarterbacks, Mark Rippon in his first start. Well, Neil Lomax has a different type of problem. He's been in and out of pain with that hip injury, and he's concerned about, hey, his ability to play this week. He couldn't finish against Tampa Bay last week.
Lowmiller kicking off to stump Mitchell and by Sekahama. Sekahama takes it back at the back line, and he'll down it there for a touchback. So St. Louis no longer in football. replaced by Phoenix, and the Cardinals will now have it first down at the 20. Neil Lomax, as you mentioned, with his arthritic hip, comes on. You see his numbers. And talking with him yesterday, Doc, he's still in pain.
You look at his face, you look in his eyes, and you know there's an awful lot on his mind outside of football.
First down, Phoenix, 7:21 remaining first period. Mitchell and Farrell are the setbacks. The pit to stump Mitchell. Big hole on the left side, pickup of 9, knocked out of bounds. It'll be 2nd and 1. Right now, let's go to New York and Brent Musburger. Brent? All right, Brent. Philadelphia strong. Gave Washington all he could handle last week.
They certainly did. Look at him to rebound. Buddy Ryan just doesn't allow his teams to lie down.
For Lomax and the Cardinals, 2nd and 1 at the 29. They give straight ahead, first down and then some. Earl Farrell out to the 45-yard line. Monty Coleman made the tackle along with Darrell Green. Take a look now at the defensive lineup for Washington. It's Mann, Butts, Brant, and Manley up front. They are backed by Coleman, Neil Okowitz, and Wilbur Marshall. And the secondary, Davis, Breen, Todd Bowles, and Alvin Walton. Brian Davis in for Barry Wilburn. All-Pro, 9 takeaways in '87. He's on IR. And again, the Redskins don't miss a beat with Brian Davis. They love it. Again, the pitch back. This is Farrell. Spins off one tackle up to the 47-yard line, and that's where Wilbur Marshall makes the tackle. Neil Lomax, as we mentioned, the quarterback, playing hurt. In the backfield, Mitchell and Farrell, Green and Smith, the wideouts. Up front, Louis Sharp, Pete, Kennard, Smith, Robbins, and Awald. Charles Mann now moves head up on Kennard. That's interesting. 2nd and 8 from the 47. 3-step drop for Lomax. Throws to the outside. And it is complete to Awald. Monty Coleman rides him out there.
And one of the most effective weapons that Lomax can have against a good pass rushing team like the Washington Redskins that plays that tight coverage, Tim, is to be able to go to his tight end. Talking to him yesterday, remember the big smile that came to his face when we asked him about the weapons he had at tight end? Well, he said, yeah, Awald and Novacek are 2 of the best, and I will get the ball to them short. Exactly what he did here.
On 3rd and 6, Washington brings in Steve Hamilton, Marcus Cook, Steve Gage, and Johnny Thomas for their nickel alignment. Todd Bowles drops back now to play center field on the defense. Lomax with inside pressure, in trouble, and goes down. Wilbur Marshall came through cleanly. And Lomax is sacked back by the 40.
Marshall with the big rush from the outside, and that's the thing that concerns Lomax the most. With that hip, the pain comes and goes. It's just something that he's concerned about, getting hit.
Horn comes on to punt now for Phoenix. And Anthony Allen is deep for Washington. The call for the fair catch at the 10. No, brings it back, and that's going to draw a flag. Well, I think he got a little confused, Doc.
That's a pretty good trick. Let me call for a fair catch. Everyone stops, and then I'll get a good return. The official was right there.
48-yard punt. And Wayne Davis came down, and he was in the area. He would have made the first hit, but the flag flew early. He had me going, I'll tell you. I said fair catch, and then he took off. The rule states, of course, you can't look like you're going to run. You have to stay within, what, 2 steps, Doc?
Exactly. You have a little bit. You have a little bit of leeway, but he took off after the fair catch.
Here's Jerry Seaman.
Invalid fair catch signal, number 87 offense. First down.
87 offense was Terry Orr. I don't know about that. 5:17 remaining first quarter. Washington's on the board. The head coach of the Washington Redskins, Joe Gibbs, had a nice chat with him yesterday afternoon when the team arrived. The team got in a little bit late with mechanical problems, and I don't think Joe was happy about that.
He was a little edgy, but interesting, his comment, very succinct on Mark Rippon. He's tough, smart, strong, steady, makes good decisions.
.5:17 remaining first quarter, first down Washington. Play action, right side, complete. And Gary Clark takes it up close to a first down, depending on where they mark it. Carl Carter made the tackle.
I was just about to say an interesting call, Tim. You're on your 6-yard line with a quarterback in his first NFL start. What do? You stand him up and you drill it to the outside for a completion. Shows confidence in the young quarterback.
Well, I don't think the Redskins were hiding the fact they weren't changing the game plan at all because there was a change of quarterback. I think here in Phoenix they felt things would close down to go back to basics since he hadn't started before in an NFL regular season game, but they're wide open. First down, Redskins. Timmy Smith, right side, spins up to the 18-yard line. They'll mark it at the 17. Nico Noga makes the tackle there. Noga, the leading tackler on this Cardinal team.
And talking to, as you look at Noga, talking to Timmy Smith yesterday, you know, he's very good friends with Doug Williams, and Doug Williams has really helped him along in his career. And he was on the phone at the hospital with Doug Williams, and Doug said, look, Timmy, I'm leaving all of this in your hands. You have to help the young quarterback, and right now he's doing it.
5 defensive backs for Phoenix. Second down, make it 8. Rippon loses the handle, gets it back to Smith, and Smith loses a couple of yards. Steve Alford came through, made the tackle.
Take a look at that again. And you see number 63, Raleigh McKenzie at center. And Tim, you know that switch in the offensive line. Of course, Bostic is off in the center, but they wanted to get a little more beef in there. McKenzie working with the new quarterback, a little trouble on that snap.
Rippon 4 for 4, 79 yards passing. Washington perfect on third down conversions. This is 3rd and 12. Backside pressure. They call in the grass. Steve Alford again is the man who came through, 6'4", 272-pounder out of Washington.
And we talked about the positives with Mark Rippon, the strong arm, the ability to make good decisions. But one thing that he doesn't do very well is get away from the rush. He doesn't have that nimble feet and the ability to scramble outside and get away. Yes, he does step up, and he is big and strong, but he's not going to escape the rush.
I think Mark was telling us he's not that quick. As a matter of fact, he couldn't run a 4.8 downhill from 35 yards, he said. Never mind the 40. Tom Barnhart comes on, and he is deep. Standing right on the eye in Cardinals in the end zone on 4th and 16. Visekahema is deep for the Cardinals, standing at the 48-yard line. So the Cardinals will have excellent field position. Visekahema to the 40 in Washington territory, and that's as far as he'll go. But again, Phoenix will have excellent field position. Terry Orr made the tackle for the Redskins. 42-yard punt, 12-yard return. So with 2 minutes and 29 seconds remaining, first quarter, Washington leads 7-0. I think it's interesting that the Phoenicians say the weather has changed. Things have cooled off. It's still expected to be in the upper 90s. On the field, even warmer than that. You see the air conditioner they're using down on the field. That is the same conditioner they used last week in Tampa, where they said it was just unbearably hot. But of course there the humidity was high, and here it's almost non-existent, 20%.
And it's a much different kind of heat. And I was down in the field. There's big fans blowing and lots of ice, tons of ice.
It's still hot. I don't care what anybody says. Stump Mitchell, Earl Farrell in the backfield now for the Cardinals. First down and 10 at the 40. Lomax. This is Mitchell. And what a play by Charles Mann, who fought off the blocker, made the tackle. And the Cardinals may have lost a yard.
Of course, Charles Mann was out last week, and Marcus Cook stepped in with 3 sacks. Mann back he's had some hip problems, and they said he'd be all right together, but certainly they're not bashful about using Cook after the game he had against the Eagles.
Well, this is a banged-up defense. You mentioned his hip flexor. And then, of course, Wilbur Marshall's bothered by a sore knee. Monty Coleman has a sore hip, and Barry Wilburn's out. It'll be 2nd and 11 from the 41. 5 down linemen for Washington. Lomax with pressure, and he's not going to get out of there. The pressure came from Mann, Cook, and Butts.
We talked about Mann. He's working against Tootie Robbins, number 71. There you see him with the outside rush. Gets the bump, pushes. Look at the strength. And he comes back inside and makes the hit. Whoa! I didn't think he was that strong. I mean, Charles Mann, 6'6", 270. Flipped Tootie Robbins out of the way, and Robbins is about 300 pounds.
He is a man.
He is that.
3rd and 17 for Phoenix. Washington loads up with 5 defensive backs. Here comes Mann again. Lomax gets out of this one. He's across the line of scrimmage and knocked out of bounds at the 41 by Wilbur Marshall.
Tootie Robbins is just having a lot of problems with Charles Mann. That time, he faked the outside move, came right inside, and he was on Lomax before he had a chance to throw the ball. That's why he had to scramble outside. And one thing Neil Lomax doesn't want to do is scramble. That hip is giving an awful lot of problems. You saw him in practice. You saw him limping a little bit.
4th down.
All right, referee Jerry Seaman tells us there is no infraction on the play. They pick up the flags. It'll be 4th down for Phoenix. So the Cardinals squander an opportunity with the ball in Washington territory. Greg Horn comes on to punt for the Cardinals, and deep for Washington will be Anthony Allen. Horn's punt, not a good one. Or is it? Oh! Well, it wasn't pretty, but it sure was effective. It goes out of bounds at the 2, and once again, the world champions will be backed up. 38-yard punt by Horn. A tail wagger that just went out of bounds at the 2. We want to welcome those of you who have been watching Philadelphia and Minnesota, with the Vikings kicking a 32-yard field goal in the closing seconds to win that one 23-21. Here it's 7-0 Washington. The Redskins scored on their first possession, but right now they are backed up. 1st down and 10 on the 2. Rippon gives to Smith, who blasts his way up to perhaps the 4, where Freddie Joe Nunn takes him down. And if you're just joining us, excuse me, Doc, let me tell you that Washington's first possession, 11 plays, 81 yards. They ate up 7 minutes and 27 seconds of the clock. 23-yard touchdown pass, Rippon to Art Monk.
And Rippon was 3 for 3 on that first 69-yard drive. And watch this strike to Art Monk. He looks off. Everybody comes back. Monk makes the catch for a touchdown. And what a debut for this young quarterback.
2nd and 8 for the Redskins. Rippon, 3-step drop, throws to McEwen, and McEwen can't handle it. He was a little bit behind him. And it'll bring up 3rd down.
But before that throw, he was 4 for 4 with 79 yards and 1 TD. So despite the fact that the young quarterback in his 3rd year out of Washington State wasn't nervous as we expected, he took the Skins on that first drive and put them ahead 7-0.
What he doesn't want to do here is make a mistake. And what Joe Gibbs really pounded home to us last night is the fact that he's a very smart quarterback. He earned that reputation in college and in his preseasons with the Redskins. Great field sense, good vision. 3rd and 8. 16 seconds remain first period. 5 defensive backs for the Cardinals. Monk in motion. And Rippon in trouble. Safety. Ken Harvey will be credited with the sack. And the Cardinals are on the board.
Gene Stallings talked about his #1 draft choice, number 56, Ken Harvey. And watch him here, come from the outside, great speed, and that's grasp and control. That's what the officials saw. That's what he called, that he had him in the grasp and control, Mark Rypien. Take a look at it again. One of the drawbacks of Mark Rypien, he doesn't have big, quick feet. He's 6'4", 234, looks more like a linebacker and a tight end rather than a quarterback. That time couldn't evade the rush, a safety.
Harvey came around Joe Jacoby. Rypien couldn't get away. It's 7-2.
Emmett Smith and the Florida Gators next Saturday on CBS Sports.
Barnhart's first free kick will be taken by Faiseka Hammer. Out to midfield, and they'll mark it perhaps at the 49, just shy of midfield. But again, it'll be good field position for the Cardinals. Raven Caldwell made the tackle there, 18-yard return.
Mark Rypien was caught for safety. The spotlight, the circle there, that's Ken Harvey. And Gene Stallings told us he wasn't getting a pass rush, so he'd use his young linebacker outside. Jacoby, number 66, tries to come out, gets a piece of him, but doesn't get enough, as Harvey shows the athletic ability to get the safety on Mark Rypien.
First down and 10 for the Cardinals. 1 second remains. First quarter. We're in Sun Devil Stadium in the Valley of the Sun. Mitchell in motion. Lomax has pressure again, throws underneath, incomplete. Actually had to throw that one around. Mann, Grant, and Manley was coming backside. It was intended for Stump Mitchell.
It was intended for Stump Mitchell, but if you look closely, he was looking downfield for number 81, Roy Green, and the other Green, Darrell, was all over him, so he had to try to dump it off to Mitchell.
So a touchdown pass, Rypien a Monk, and a sack on Rypien. It's 7-2. Welcome back to Sun Devil Stadium as we start the second period. Tim Brant, John Dockery with you. The Washington Redskins lead Phoenix 7-2. Second down and 10 for Lomax. Throws across the middle, incomplete to Roy Green. But there was great coverage out there as expected from Darrell Green.
Green on green, a matchup.
Washington jumped. So that penalty will go against the Redskins. Here's Jerry Seaman, the referee.
Offside, number 72 defense, still second down.
Dexter Manley.
And one of the things that Roy Green said that is they're going to try and fake outside and then get inside real quick so that Lomax can get me the ball quickly so the rush doesn't get to him. Green obviously in his face playing head up, challenging.
Roy Green said he loves to play against man-to-man defense. He can beat them, except the Redskins play it as well as anybody. And you can't always beat it. That's right.
That's right.
2nd and 5 for the Cardinals. The pitch to Mitchell. Good block on the corner, and Stump takes it out to the 44-yard line.
You know what? Remember Gene Stallings telling us yesterday that when the Redskins see us in split backfield, they always think pass. So that we will motion Stump and then flip the ball to him because they're not expecting it. We'll have the edge because they don't see it as a running formation. This time, a good block. Look at that lead block by Farrell, and then Stump makes those extra yards on his own.
Well, I'll tell you, that was a heck of a play by Wilbur Marshall. Took on the block, lost his feet, popped up, and still helped out with the tackle. Just underway, second quarter, 3rd down and 2 for the Cardinals. Lomax goes outside, and it's incomplete. It was intended for Robert Awalt. And Phoenix is now 0 for 3 on 3rd down conversions and has twice now squandered good field position.
Not a well-thrown ball. Awalt simply did an out, a quick out, trying to get him the ball. Had he been able to catch it, he might have rolled over the 40-yard line for the first down.
So Phoenix will have to punt it away. That means Greg Horn comes on, and Anthony Allen will be deep for Washington. And Keith Griffin goes back and joins him, along with Steve Gage. The reason the Redskins load up is because the Cardinals have been going for that coffin corner and kicking away from the one single deep back. So they loaded up that time, and it'll be a touchback. They'll bring it out to the 20. So with 14:37 remaining now in the half, it's 7-2 Washington. Well, those folks up on top of that mountain behind the stadium have beaten the controversy. And it has been well documented about the controversy and the high ticket prices here in Phoenix, the highest ticket prices in the NFL.
I think they average somewhere around $38 a ticket, and that is expensive.
When you reach that mountaintop, you better have your binoculars. First down, Washington at the 20. Smith across the 21 to the 22-yard line, and he's tripped up there. Not much going up front. Bob Clasby, Freddie Joe Nunn made the tackle.
And when you look at that offensive line, of course, the newcomer is a Pro Bowler, number 79, Jimmy Lachey. Take a look at him right here. He's playing the right tackle next to Mark May. He's taking on Freddie Joe Nunn, who's doing a pretty good job initially of standing him up. But it's kind of a relapse line with May and McKenzie, Tillman, Jacoby.
On 2nd and 8, E.J. Jr. comes out for the Cardinals. Travis Curtis comes in as they go to their nickel. This is Timmy Smith. And a counter gap, and Smith is loose across midfield to the 48-yard line. It is the counter tray or counter gap. They scored on it twice last week, and again, it's Mark May and Jim Lachey leading the way.
They call the counter gap, where the big tackle from the right side and the big guard, Lachey and May. There's Lachey. Watch him pull right next to him. See 73? That's May. And they do the job of clearing the way. No chance. Look, number 46. Number 46 right there. Tim McDonald gets buried. And Timmy Smith. Whew, look at him go.
Hey, it was funny last night talking to Mayday. Mark May says, hey, I got to teach Lachey. We can't do that well every time or they'll keep running to us. And it gets hot and tiring out there. First down at the 49, Washington. This time they go right. And it's almost intercepted. Pretty good fake by Rippon that time. E.J. Jr. almost had the interception. Probably should have had it. Good play action to the right side. And then look back left, and the pass, I think, was tipped, Doc.
It was tipped, and if you watch, they do pull number 66, Jacoby, and they try to make it look like the play before. The ball is tipped right there. Looked like number 56, Ken Harvey, got a piece of it, and Junior can't come up with the interception. The ball, see the ball doing a little bit of a knuckleball, tough one to handle, but right in his breadbasket, should have come up with that ball.
St. Louis +2 on the giveaway takeaway ratio. Should have had one there. It'll be 2nd down and 10 at the 49 for Mark Rippon. Smith nowhere to run. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Rod Sadler made the tackle. He had some help from the linebackers.
And Sadler and Clasby and Alvoyd and Nunn will tell you when you play against the Redskins, the thing you have to do, because of all their angle blocking, they don't try to just overpower you. It's not finesse, it's angle blocking. Unless you get penetration and close off that offensive movement and flow, there's no way you can stop that running attack.
Art Monk, Ricky Sanders come to the bottom of the screen. Clark at the top of the screen. 5 defensive backs now for the Cardinals. 3rd down and 10, Washington. And here comes the pressure. Underthrown, intended for Art Monk. Lonnie Young was the man out there covering. Monk still looked like he got inside. The ball was short, incomplete. Washington will have to punt.
Tim, you're right. Mark Rippon had to throw that ball long before he was ready to throw it and long before Monk was actually open.
So Tom Barnhart will come on to kick for Washington. Bisikahema stands at his own 10, and Mark Rippon now has missed his last 3 passes after starting out 4 for 4. Good snap. No pressure. It's a high tail wagger. Bisikahema takes it at the 16. Back out to the 24-yard line, and that's where the Cardinals will have it. The tackle was made by Steve Gage of Washington. 32-yard punt, 8-yard return. We'll be back. In a row, Washington scored on its first possession. 11 plays, 81 yards, 23-yard touchdown pass, Rippon to Monk. And then Rippon was sacked by Ken Harvey in the end zone. 7-2, that's our score. And Rip, after going 4 for 4, has now missed his last 3 passes. Tim Brant and John Dockery with you, Sun Devil Stadium.
But I think Washington has got what they wanted out of Rippon. They've got him in the game. They're ahead. He's settling down, even though he's missed his last 3. One of them was tipped. One of them he had to throw early because of pressure.
First down, Phoenix at the 25. Farrell in motion, pitch back to Stump Mitchell. Mitchell up to the 25 to the 26-yard line. Darrell Grant makes the tackle there. Interesting, John Dockery, that we have yet to see Tony Jordan. Last week, Phoenix said that Tony would take more snaps, that he would play a lot more, and yet he didn't play that much last week. Had another good week of practice. Everybody talks about how great he is, and yet we still see number 30, Stump Mitchell.
Well, Stump Mitchell has come back with a couple of 100-yard games and is playing very well. I mean, what can you do with a guy who has a career average of 4.9 yards?
Let him play.
Let him play.
Neil Olkowitz comes out. Cook, man, Butts and Manley for Washington. Second down, and Lomax in trouble, throws it away. I guess it was intended for Earl Farrell, but I think he was just trying to get out of the way of Wilbur Marshall.
What's it like to be an offensive and defensive lineman? Take a look at the collisions at the line of scrimmage, the battle that goes on each play. And then you see Lomax. What's it like to be a quarterback? Well, you might get nervous feet. Watch his feet. They're moving all around the place because he knows sooner or later that protection, that pocket is going to collapse and bury him.
Big old Darrell Grant was there, 6'1", 275-pounder. He'll bring up third down and 10 at the 25. Lomax now 1 of 4, 4 yards. He's missed his last 3. 5 defensive backs for the Redskins. Again, there's pressure. Lomax has the completion to Novacek, and it'll be a first down, Cardinals.
Of course, Novacek is the man who last week caught the 42-yard touchdown versus Tampa from Cliff Stout for the victory. He had 5 catches, 102 yards. Take a look at him right here. Great hands. He's more like a wide receiver than a tight end because he's got that good fluidity. Watch his hands. Catches it right in, watches it all the way in, and then tucks it away as the tackle is made.
Fluidity.
Mobility.
He's also a decathlete.
Exactly.
6 catches last week. He's got 1 here today. It'll be first down and 10 from the 43. Give inside to the 47-yard line. Farrell stumbling and crawls his way up. Good gainer. Neil Olkowitz finally stops him.
And Dexter Manley, of course, missed a lot of preseason, number 72. Watch him right here. He comes inside. No one blocks him. He lunges but doesn't hold on, and Farrell gets that extra yards. Manley just didn't grab. That's the basic thing that you tell any defensive player. Grab something when you hit somebody.
Farrell's also big,
right.
240 pounds. Second and 3. This is Farrell. Has the first down into Washington territory before Neil Olkowitz can stop him. There's another guy that always seems to do well against the Redskins, Earl Farrell.
Earl Farrell may not be flashy, but if you look at he and Stump Mitchell, both average around 5 yards a carry. That's incredible.
Farrell now 4 carries, 33 yards. Gene Stallings has to feel pretty good about things. He's had good field position, squandered 2 of them. This time he's got something moving. Mitchell down to the 35. There is a flag. And they'll bring it back. And the crowd here in Phoenix doesn't like that a bit.
Holding, number 70 offense, still first down.
The holding was on Derek Kennard, third-year player out of Nevada, Reno.
And he's got a big guy to hold. You can't miss a 6'7", 300-pounder. Kennard holding, there he is, just pushes him down, and that's the call. Looks like he did a pretty good job on Butts.
That's the first penalty of the game for Phoenix. It'll be first down and 20 at the 44. Farrell goes out. Wolfley comes in. Tony Jordan now makes his first appearance. Lomax throws, has a man. J.T. Smith incomplete. Smith had a step on the corner, and Brian Davis was playing catch-up, but Lomax couldn't get him the ball.
He got a good block from Wolfley on that play to give him some extra time.
Look at this. 49ers rebounding from last week's loss to Atlanta. Now up by 2 touchdowns over Seattle. I think the Rams will be unbeaten after this day.
I'd be surprised. The Giants are waiting for them in New York, and but it's the sacks. The Rams lead the league in sacks, and somehow Gary Cheater's been reborn.
Washington plays the Giants next week. 2nd and 20 for the Cardinals. High snap, give inside to Farrell. Nice play by Wilbur Marshall. Coming up next week, LSU against Florida. Florida ranked 20th. LSU lost yesterday. What a wild game that was. 69 points scored in that game. Came up shy. Big day for Hodson. And, of course, Emmitt Smith will be seen with Florida.
Emmitt Smith is something special. He's got to be the dark horse in the Heisman. 164 yards, including a school record 96-yard scamper. Boy, is he excitement, pure excitement.
So is Hodson. He was 20 of 40 for 300 yards. 6 defensive backs for Washington. They roll up everybody here on 3rd and 18. Pressure backside for Lomax. Roy Green wide open. Inside the 5. A 51-yard gain for Phoenix. Darrell Green made the tackle, but he was just making up ground.
Who said that the 31-year-old Roy Green couldn't run it anymore? He told us maybe he lost a little bit, but take a look at it from the end zone. Darrell Green is covering, throws a good fake, gets way behind. Darrell Green bit on. He has to wait for this ball a little bit. See, it's slightly behind, and that gave Darrell Green a little time to catch up on Roy Green and finally trip him to the ground.
Great composure by Neil Lomax, because Manley almost had the sack. He hung in as long as he could, and Phoenix wants a timeout.
That is Phoenix' second timeout. That is Phoenix' second timeout.
Lomax is hot.
Well, he's the quarterback of the #1 offense in the NFL. I mean, this is a team that's averaging over 400 yards a game and almost 250 passing. So Lomax has played well, but again, that hip, that arthritic hip, has been bothering.
Here's the game we were talking about, the New York Giants and the Washington Redskins next week at RFK Stadium. Rematch of game 1 of this season, where the Giants had to come from behind and beat Washington, although Washington statistically had a marvelous night.
They certainly did, and I'd like to tell Washington fans, the word in New York at least is that Lawrence Taylor, LT, will be back on Wednesday. Seems everything with his outpatient rehabilitation is going well. They're expecting him back.
That's the first game of the doubleheader. It all starts with the NFL on CBS beginning at 12:30. Game 2, Minnesota and Miami, or you may see Phoenix and the LA Rams. That's all coming up next Sunday on CBS Sports.
You know, it's interesting. The Rams, one of the 3 unbeaten teams going into today's action. And Cincinnati, Buffalo, and the Rams, all those teams, ironic, Tim, didn't have a winning record last year.
This drive started on the Phoenix 25-yard line. It is now 1st and goal at the 2. It's the 9th play of the drive coming up as you look at Gene Stallings. You think of the Phoenix Cardinals, you don't automatically think of the #1 ranked offense in the NFL, but that is what the story is.
And actually, as you think of the Cardinals, they could actually be 3-0. I know a lot of people can say that. They lost to Cincinnati by a touchdown. They lost to Dallas by a field goal. They beat Tampa last week, and this is an excellent drive. Consuming some time, 8 plays, 73 yards.
Neil Olkowitz comes out of the ball game. Washington goes to its 4-4-3. Goal line defense. It'll be 1st down and goal. 6 minutes, 57 seconds remain in the half. It's 7-2 Washington. Jordan stopped at the line of scrimmage.
If you want to know how it feels to be a linebacker in the NFL, this might help you to feel that way. Take a look. You're looking right at the center. And now watch. Kurt Covilla in the action right there. You see number 74 also in the action, Marcus Cook, and the pilot.
Second and goal. Jordan this time tries to go up and over. Touchdown signal is from the head linesman. And Phoenix takes the lead.
Now the key here is that the ball breaks the plane of the goal line. Jordan, the youngster with good leaping ability, goes up. Take a look for yourself.
Boy, that's close.
Very close, because he got turned around as he got to the goal line. He got turned sideways. But it looked like Caldwell hit him, number 50.
Remember, it's not his head that breaks the plane. The ball has to break the plane. I don't know if it did.
It's academic now.
Well, it's not, because I think they're going to review the play. Let's listen.
The knee was down by contact. The ball was dead. Second down.
Take those points off the board.
It's not academic. Gene Stallings, whoa! Don't take touchdowns away from him.
Well, I told you it wasn't academic.
Take a look at it again. They said that the knee hit the ground before the ball got near the plane. Let's take a look if we can see it. Watch the knee. Funny, I don't see where the knee hit the ground unless it was further back.
Doesn't matter. The ball didn't cross the plane and his arm hit. Kurt Covilla, Caldwell, they were all there filling along with Olkowitz. It'll bring third down and goal. Although I thought the ball was closer than that to the goal line.
Much closer than that, and I didn't see a knee hit the ground, so I'm not exactly sure what angle that the replay officials saw, but...
Well, they're going to look at it again. I can guarantee you that, because there goes Jerry Siemens. He's either going on a coffee break or he's going to talk to the folks up in the replay booth.
Let's see if they pick up the phone.
Take another look at it.
This is Tony Jordan. Here it is again. Simply a straightforward power play. Jordan up in the air. So far, we don't see a knee hit anywhere. Now he's launched himself. His knee goes up in the air.
The runner was down by contact with the knee. The ball is on the 1-yard line. Second down.
Down by contact.
That expression tells you how they feel on that side of the field.
Remember last week they did throw to one of the tackles that was playing a tight end position, so that's a possibility.
The scoreboard says second down. It is not. It is third down and goal.
And you see number 67 is in there at the right tight end position. Third down.
It's hot out there. Jerry's working hard. Now he's got to correct the guy that's doing the scoreboard. And he wants some time taken off that clock as well.
We'll get this all straightened out, folks.
I don't know if we will. I don't think we have to. That's up to Jerry. Jerry Seaman. The word we have is the folks in the instant replay booth did not have sufficient evidence to make a change or to call it one way or the other. So it was a conference by the officials on the field. They elected to say that he was down by contact, and they took the points off the board.
55. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But, Tim, let me just ask one question. And one of the officials called a touchdown, one or two. So, obviously, they got together. One didn't call, one did. And it stands not a touchdown.
Third and goal. Cardinals. They say it's a touchdown. One does, one doesn't. But this time the points are going on the board. Again, it's Tony Jordan. And the Cardinal offense isn't going to wait around to find out. They're getting off the field. Finally, the signal is unanimous. Well, what a way to start the ball game.
Oh.
This has been an interesting first half.
On the conversion attempt, holding number 18.
Tony Jordan with a good leaping ability, 6'2", 220-pound rookie out of Kansas State, over the top. And if we see the replay, you'll see him wiggle with some second effort.
Cliff Stout comes on as the holder. Del Greco the kicker for the extra point. And it's good. So the Phoenix Cardinals take the lead over Washington 9-7.
And as I told you, watch this. Tony Jordan leaps over the top, appears to be stopped, but at the last minute, he wiggles right there. He wiggles like a worm, and his momentum takes him into the end zone.
The Skins. It's the beast of the NFC East. Next Sunday on CBS Sports.
5:39 remaining in the half. Phoenix leads Washington 9-7. Del Greco to kick off. Jamie Morris is deep for Washington. It's a low kick. It'll hit at the 4 and go through the end zone. So they'll bring it out to the 20.
Let's follow the bouncing running back, number 32, Tony Jordan, and see how he gets into the end zone. Watch him pop. He's popped 2 or 3 times like a billiard ball. Right there, turned around, wiggles over, and into the end zone for a touchdown.
That's a tough way to earn his salary on a hot afternoon in Phoenix. 11 plays, 75 yards, took 6:26. Tony Jordan, 1-yard touchdown, and it is 9-7 Cardinals. First down, Redskins. Rippon looks deep, has McEwen. Knocked out of bounds at the 40-yard line. They'll mark it at the 41. Carl Carter was the defensive back, but what a nice touch on that pass.
I was about to say the same thing, Tim. We know about Mark Rippon's strong arm. We weren't so sure about his touch, but here he holds the ball, he's cool, calm, and he just waits until his receiver clears the linebacker and flips it over their head for the completion.
21-yard pickup. It'll be first down at the 41. Mark Rippon, 5 of 8 now, 108 yards exactly. Monk in motion. This is the reverse to Monk. Nice move. And he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Keep in mind, Art Monk was a running back at Syracuse. Knocked out of bounds by Nico Noga. Can't say the Cardinals were faked out on that play.
No. Joe Gibbs hoping to be the first team since the Steelers in 78 and 79 to repeat as Super Bowl champion.
Mark May made an interesting point last night saying, hey, we went back the next year, we just didn't win it.
That's right.
Now they want to go back and win it. 5 defensive backs for the Cardinals. Kelvin Bryant comes in for the Redskins. This pass underneath the Monk to the 48-yard line. He's knocked down by Anthony Bell and Lonnie Young. So it'll bring up third down and short. Reminder, the NFL Today next Sunday beginning at 12:30 Eastern Time with Brent Irv, Will McDonough, and Dick Butkus. We'll keep you up to date on all the information of the NFL. That was fun being on their show today, talking about the Washington quarterback situation. Of course, Brett talked to Jay Schrader as that trade magnified in light of things here. Jay will get his first start Monday night. Mark Rippon making the most of his start here as Doug Williams recuperates in Washington.
That is a Phoenix timeout. That is their last timeout of the half.
That was self-explanatory. Mark Rippon now will go over and get some
And you know
pointers
what,
from Joe.
Tim, it's interesting, and I know that you talked about this on the NFL today. When we talked to Joe Gibbs, and we said, why get rid of Schrader when you know Doug Williams is a fragile commodity at best, and he might not finish the year. No one expected him to have an appendectomy, but what was it? And I thought that Bobby Beathard probably gave the most honest answer that I remember, when he said it was really came down to a personality conflict between Gibbs and Schrader, and Schrader just orchestrated. He wanted out. He made life so miserable for them there in Washington that Gibbs had no choice but to trade him.
You know, I think the Redskins, though, and one of the reasons the organization has been so successful is that Joe Gibbs and Bobby Beathard and Jack Kent Cooke are actually preparing for the 90s, and they're answering those questions for the 1990s right now with guys like Brian Davis and Rippon and Marcus Cook, Timmy Smith, Lowe Miller, all young guys that are going to be in the organization for a long, long time.
Well, the good organizations like the Dallases and the Pittsburgh Steelers, when they were winning, always replace the parts that need replacing. They always have a third or fourth year man who is maturing to take over for the aging star.
3rd down and 2, Washington. 4 minutes, 34 seconds remain in the first half. Washington 2 timeouts remaining. Phoenix none. 5 defensive backs for the Cardinals. 4 wide receivers for the Redskins. Monk in motion. Pressure on Rippon, throws underneath. This one's complete to Ricky Sanders, who has the first down to the 42-yard line. Anthony Bell made the tackle. Ricky Sanders, not a starter, but he is the leading receiver for Washington. That's his 15th catch of the year.
And he's averaging 20 yards a catch. That's phenomenal. He already has 2 TDs on the year, and he's playing well. You know, I was wondering why Mark Rippon was only drafted in the 6th round. He said, hey, I played at Washington State. We played the option. We played the veer. I was really never showcased as a pro-style quarterback.
3-step drop. This one batted down. Boy, they brought some pressure. Freddie Joe Nunn was there.
And you don't expect to see this that often from such a tall quarterback. 6'4", 234. Watch the bottom of your screen. Freddie Joe Nunn gets a hand up and tips the ball. See it right there, his left hand?
Glasby was coming as well.
Are you surprised by the pressure that the St. Louis defensive line is getting on this all-pro offensive line?
No.
No? Why?
Because it's a good line, good down line. Glasby's strong. Freddie Joe Nunn is strong. Sadler's not there. They're young. 2nd and 10. Rippon throws underneath. Incomplete. It was intended for Ricky Sanders.
Tim, you have to wonder if the young quarterback, he started off so strong, 4 for 4. He put 7 points on the board right away. And now you get a feeling he's a little more tentative. That time, he didn't set his feet. He did not set to throw. He tried to do it all with his arm, and he threw a one-hopper.
You know, we're talking about that pressure the Cardinals are putting on, Doc. But we have to remember that it is early in the ball game. Washington's offensive line just seems to get better as the game goes on.
But they're so big, you wonder if the heat here in Phoenix will affect them.
The line averages 285. It is 3rd down and 10. Kelvin Bryant comes back in. Rippon going down on a timing pattern on the sidelines, incomplete. It was intended for Sanders. Cedric Mack had the coverage. Sanders lucky he didn't get called for pass interference.
Excellent position by Cedric Mack.
See if he gives a little shove here at the end.
Okay, let's take a look. He's got great position inside, right? No, I think it was a legitimate play. Might have been intercepted, except the ball was a little underthrown.
So Tom Barnhart comes on to kick for the Redskins, and Vaisagahema, there he is, standing at the 10. And he always gives Washington fits. High, wobbly punt. Will hit at the 6, and it'll die there. Down at the 4. So we've seen 2 punts today that have been pooched and downed inside the 10. That being a 37-yard punt for Barnhart. Three minutes, 25 seconds remain in the half. Tim Brant and John Dockery with you in Phoenix. And keep in mind, the Cardinals have no timeouts remaining in this half. but they lead. We'll be back. You know, we were talking about the ticket prices in Phoenix being the highest in the NFL. I think Phoenix ought to pay those folks to sit there. That's tough going up there with the Rattlers.
Right in the middle of the cactus, but also you get a little bonus there, free suntan. Plenty of oil needed up on the hill.
3 minutes, 25 seconds remaining in the half. Interesting that Mark Rippon started at 4 for 4, and after the sack, he's gone 3 of 9, so he may have been a little bit shaken by that. Cardinals, no timeouts remaining. Lomax drops it underneath, incomplete. It was intended for the tight end, Robert Awald.
Throwing from his own end zone. He was looking downfield again. Great coverage. We talked about Darrell Green and Brian Davis, how they play that tight man-to-man coverage to give the defensive line a chance to rush. You try to block Dexter Manley on this play. Good outside rush. Lots of speed. That's Lewis Sharp doing a pretty good job using his arms the way an offensive lineman is supposed to.
Give inside. Cardinals get a couple. Clock continues to roll. Nearing the 3-minute mark in the half. Ball carrier was Earl Farrell. J.T. Smith is being worked on the sidelines. He has, we are told now, a bruised shoulder. He may return to the ball game as you look at Joe Gibbs.
What a loss he would be. He caught 91 passes last year. J.T. Smith did.
Well, he leads the Cards right now with 16 catches this year. And he's made a catch in 47 consecutive games. It's 3rd down and 8. Washington loads up with 5 defensive backs. Lomax goes to the shotgun. Complete, first down, Phoenix. Don Holmes makes the catch at the 17-yard line. It'll be first down. Brian Davis was the cover man, and Dexter Manley slow getting up.
Dexter Manley limping off the field. It looks like he might have hurt his hamstring. Here he is battling with Sharp, spins around right there, and he's holding, yes, high up in his right hamstring.
A reminder for those of you who have not been close to the Washington situation. Dexter did not go through preseason training camp. He's now just trying to work himself into shape. Admittedly says he's not there yet. The only thing I think is hard to figure out, usually a hamstring pull comes in cooler weather. Here, of course, in the heat, you get good and loose, but it looked like he did grab the upper ham. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, Brent Irv and Dick Butkus with all the scores and highlights from around the NFL today. First down at the 17. Stump Mitchell, and he bulldozes his way out across the 20 to the 22-yard line before Wilbur Marshall can stop him.
Bulldoze is a good word. 5'9", 190 pounds. He just ran right over the linebacker.
The all-time Cardinal rushing leader. The Valley of the Sun with 1:59 remaining first half, and Phoenix leads Washington by 2. Timeouts remaining. Washington has both. The Cardinals, none. What do you think, Doc? Interesting, huh?
Interesting ebb and flow. When you see Rippon, he comes in, he lights up the Washington Redskins for a score, but Lomax and the Cards just stay in there right now. They're controlling this game.
2nd down and 5 for the Cardinals. Stump Mitchell. Back to the line of scrimmage, maybe.
But, Tim, you talk about ebb and flow. I think the safety, the tackle of Rippon in the end zone has changed the whole feel of this game. He seemed to have lost something when he was tackled for that safety.
Well, reminder that he went 4 for 4 to start the game after the sack, 3 for 9. Washington takes a timeout trying to preserve some of the clock with 1:51 rather, remaining in the half. Redskins still have 1 remaining and want that ball back. Houston 31-6.
Talk about a rebound after the Jets pummeled Houston last week. They're doing the same thing to New England this week.
Pinkett, Notre Dame graduate, having a big day. Dickerson, 125 yards rushing for Indianapolis.
Jets Ooh, this would be third in a row. They
Look
beat
at this.
Cleveland. Look, they beat Cleveland. They beat Houston. Now they're ahead of Detroit. Who would have thought this? Ooh.
And that coming from a Jet alumnus. And New Orleans wins. Not by much. 7 quarterback sacks. 3rd down and 5. Ball on the 22. 1:51 remaining in the half. It's 9-7 Cardinals. 6 defensive backs now for the Redskins as they load up with Lomax in the shotgun. Green in motion. He looks for Green. He's covered and he's in trouble. The Redskins will get the ball back. Dean Hamill gets the sack. I tell you, he should give part of that sack to Darrell Green because he was all over Roy Green.
Lomax here actually pumps one. He had some time, but you mentioned it's the coverage downfield. See the fight right there. He wanted to throw the ball, but Darrell Green was all over Roy Green. Roy Green tried to spin around. Darrell Green was like his shadow everywhere he went. Green went, Darrell went, Roy went, and vice versa.
The word from the Washington bench is that Dexter Manley has a pulled right hamstring, and his return is doubtful. When Washington wants a big play, Darrell Green goes back to return punts, and he's back there now with 1:46 remaining in the half. Greg Horn will punt for the Cardinals. Green stands on the 45-yard line. Horn's having a good afternoon. He's averaged 42 yards a punt. He pooched one inside the 5. This time, however, he stands on his own 2. Darrell Green's at his own 45. This should be fun to watch. Good snap, high punt. The wall sets up on the left side, and that's the way Darrell Green's going to go. Good coverage by the Cardinals. 44-yard punt, 5-yard return, and the tackle was made by the tight end, Jay Novacek.
San Francisco shutting out Seattle. Of course, San Francisco had to be upset after what Atlanta did to them last week.
They deserve to be upset. They didn't play well. Plenty of time for Washington. 1:34 remaining. First down. The ball is officially marked at the 43. Bryant in the ball game now. Monk in motion. Ripping with time. This is Donnie Warren, and he has blockers up close to midfield to say went out of bounds at the 49. Anthony Bell gets credit for the tackle there.
Interesting call. Smart call. Don't put too much pressure on the quarterback. Don't risk an interception. Just flip it out on the screen to Donnie Warren. Let him get a few yards, get out of bounds to stop the clock. So you have achieved your objective. You want to keep moving that ball, maybe pick off a field goal to go into the locker room by 1 point.
Also can be an effective play when you have May and Lachey out there, both over 290 pounds. Although Mark May tells me he's trimming down. 2nd and 4. 2nd and 3 officially. Rippon again with time, drills this one. And it's complete to Sanders, who makes a nifty move inside the 35 to the 33-yard line, and that's where Travis Curtis takes him down. 16-yard pickup. Rippon's got him on the move. No huddle. 1:04 remaining in the half. Rippon was intended for Sanders, but Sanders fell. It was not a bad pass.
It was not a bad pass, and he actually had Donnie Warren over the middle open. Sanders was delaying and cutting and did slip, and the ball was actually thrown fairly well.
It'll bring up 2nd and 10. That pass stops the clock at 1 minute exactly. 60 seconds remain in the half. I don't care what anybody says. He is impressive.
He's impressive. He had a good preseason. They're very excited about it. He had a 60% completion during that preseason.
He's now 9 of 16, 141 yards and a touchdown. It's 2nd down and 10. Again, there's good pressure. Drops this one to Donnie Warren, who takes it down to the 25-yard line. He'll be close to another Washington first down. You see the clock, under 50 seconds.
And you see the presence of mind. The rush comes, he steps up, can't find anyone, runs, and then flips it to a receiver.
3rd and short. This is to Monk. First down, Washington. Clock continues to move. 30 seconds remaining in the half. Lonnie Young made the tackle. No huddle again for the Redskins. 23 seconds. And the Redskins run the clock play. That's perfectly legal. There will never be a personal foul or a intentionally grounding foul when the quarterback throws it immediately down to stop the clock. That's called a clock play. It is definitely legal.
In the situation here with no timeouts left, if you're going to try to throw the ball downfield, you must get it into the end zone with 18 seconds left, because you'll get one of your players tackled. The clock may run out and you may not get a field goal. So you got to be a little careful if you do try to go downfield. You got to get it in the end zone and go for the score.
Low Miller preparing to come on for the field goal if the Redskins don't score the touchdown. 18 seconds remain in the half. Rippon with time, has the man. Sanders, touchdown, Redskins. That drive was a thing of beauty. And it'd be hard to detect that this is that young man's first NFL game.
I was going to say, are you sure he hasn't played in someone else's mind and body before? So cool all the way through. If you look at your outside receiver, he's just waiting for the inside man to clear, and then he's coming up as the zone drops downfield. Sanders catches the ball and then does what you should do, turn up and motor into the end zone.
Redskins recapture the lead. Low Miller on for the extra point. And it's good. So that drive was methodical, it was emphatic, and extremely efficient. 57 yards, 7 plays. It took only 123. And the touchdown pass ripping to Sanders for 18 yards.
And one of the problems from a Cardinal point of view is that they're playing zone down here. No one is going with that outside receiver who's coming underneath the zone. The ball is well thrown. Sanders finds that little soft spot, turns it up for the TD.
12 seconds remain in the half. Mark Rippon now 12 for 20, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Nice way to begin your NFL career.
It is. One thing that was concerning the Redskins, of course, not only the health of Doug Williams, and Doug is supposed to be doing very well in Washington, but that Stan Humphries is out with a low blood platelet count, which makes a person bleed more profusely. And so they're trying to correct that. They brought in David Archer, who knows the system. He was under Henning with the Falcons. But quite frankly, he's only been in camp a couple of days, so they were very concerned that if anything happened to Rippon, you know, they'd be in some trouble. They would be in some trouble. And one of the things that's amazed me, I mean, you trade a quarterback like Jay Schrader. Yes, he may have been a malcontent and he may not have been good for your team, but it tells you about this man, Mark Rippon, and the confidence the Redskins have in his ability in case something happened to Doug Williams, which it did happen. So they are very high on the young man. 12 seconds remain. Low Miller's kick taken in the end zone. And it'll be down by Sikahema. So Neil Lomax will come back on. No timeouts remaining in 12 seconds, and he'll probably go to the clock play and just try to down it and run the timeout. Gene Stallings was telling us, John Dockery, that the Cardinals have had catastrophes just before the half in every game that they've played. They've had interceptions, fumbles. They ran the fake little flip against the Cowboys, which didn't work. That's right. I think he was a little embarrassed by that and felt he had to defend it. And he just felt his kicker couldn't make a field goal from that distance. Here's the give inside. Big holes for Farrell, who gets a first down, but the clock is at 5. And there's no way they can stop it. Todd Bowles made the tackle. And that's the end of the half. with Washington leading Phoenix 14-9. We are in the Valley of the Sun. Sun Devil Stadium. Mark Rypien has taken center stage. The Redskins lead 14-9 as we're ready to start the second half. And it is hot. The Phoenicians say it has gotten cooler. The weather is broken. Look at this.
100 degrees down on the field, and you have to wonder if that will take its toll on the huge offensive line of the Washington Redskins.
This is what took place in the first half.
50 yards rushing. That's pretty good from the Cardinals' point of view, to hold the Redskins to a mere 50 yards, because you know they wanted to establish that running game with a young quarterback, Mark Rypien, in there. Total yards, the Skins, 215, only 165 for the Cards. And the thing that's most interesting to me is that Lomax hasn't had much of a first half, whereas Rypien has.
No, but Farrell has 7 carries, 52 yards for Phoenix. Field position, you saw that. Possessions, this is Lohmiller. Kicking off, it'll be taken by Fasikahema in the end zone, along with Stump Mitchell, and Mitchell will down it there. It'll be a touchback, and they'll bring it out to the 20.
And there's the quarterback comparison that we just mentioned. 4 of 9 Lomax for 79 yards, 52 of those yards coming on one play. Rypien, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, having a good afternoon.
Of course, you talked about Lomax and that one pass play to Green, 52 yards out of his 79. First down, Cardinals. Start the second half. Ball up to 20. This is the give inside. Big hole. Out close to a first down. It'll be a pickup of 8. Earl Farrell is finally taken down by Todd Bowles, the free safety.
And you mentioned Farrell was the best runner for the Cards on the ground. He got 52 yards in the first half. For some reason, now he's up to 8 carries for 61 yards. Somehow he's doing it in the middle, and the Cards over the years have been able to get some yardage up the middle against the Skins.
Dexter Manley out of the ball game, pulled hamstring. Marcus Cook now playing along with Mann, Butts, and Grant up front. 2nd and 1 for the 29. Again, the give straight ahead, first down Phoenix.
And you mentioned Marcus Cook on the left side of your screen. Interesting story. He's in for Manley's out. Watch him right here. Plays off the blocker, tries to get inside to help, but it's interesting. Marcus Cook, you know, he left camp for about 10 days, just unhappy. Went back to Canada and said he wanted to be a carpenter. Came back of his own volition. The Skins didn't pressure him, and last week had a great game with 3 sacks against the Eagles.
First down at the 34. Stump Mitchell tries to get the corner, turns inside, gets a block, but not much yardage. And he's knocked out of bounds at the mark at the 36. You know, coming into this game, Joe Gibbs was telling us, with the Redskins -5 in the giveaway takeaway, 2nd worst in the NFL, really concerned about that. Wants that defense to force some turnovers. You know, the Redskins don't have an interception this year and 0 fumbles forced by sacks.
That's something that would worry a coach. He said they were playing with intensity, but they just weren't able to hold on to interceptions. They weren't making the big plays on defense.
It'll be 2nd down and 9 for Phoenix. Ron Wolfley checks into the ball game for the Cards. Lomax. It's complete to Novacek, and he's got another first down up near midfield. Ball's loose, but ball was down. Whistle had blown. Interesting how they're moving players around, Doc, on the defense.
Yeah, take a look at Cook, number 74. They were experimenting with him all season before the season started, and they had the problems with Manley and Mann at linebacker. They likened him to, you know, a Mecklenburg, a Dent type of character who could go down, but also could get up as a linebacker and go back on coverage.
Pretty good backpedaling karaoke. Did you see that?
Yes, it was.
He's 6'5", 275 pounds. First down at midfield. Again, Lomax looks deep. Now throws underneath coverage and out of bounds. It was intended for his tight end Novacek, and Alvin Walton was covering, but he initially had looked deep.
It's that battle going on downfield that you often don't see. Watch the top of your screen. Green, Darrell, on Green, Roy. Roy tries to put the burn on him, but Green is right there. He's also getting help inside from Todd Bowles, so they were actually double-teaming Roy Green on that play. And one of the reasons they may be is that J.T. Smith went out earlier in the game. We haven't gotten an updated report on him yet.
Don Holmes comes in and takes J.T. Smith's place. That coverage is exactly why Lomax had to check off and go to his tight end. On 2nd and 10, they give up front. This is Farrell, big hole to the 44-yard line before Alvin Walton makes the tackle.
And if you look at the Cardinals, they don't have that great breakaway back. They're hoping Tony Jordan will be, but they have two blue-collar backs, number 31 Earl Farrell and Stump Mitchell. And Farrell's having a great afternoon. He's not far off the 100-yard mark. And if you watch Lance Smith, number 61, he gets a piece of Wilbur Marshall right there, and that helps Farrell get some extra yardage.
Called Stump Mitchell a blue-collar worker. Not bad for a blue-collar worker. He brings his lunch pail. 5 of the last 7 games, he's going over 100 yards. 3rd and 4. Lomax is pressured. This one intercepted. It's Wilbur Marshall. Earl Farrell knocks him out of bounds. But it's the first interception for the world champs this year.
And what an addition from the Chicago Bears, Wilbur Marshall. And people have been saying he's not been spectacular, but they want him to play a more disciplined type of defense. Here, watch him. Fakes the rush, comes out, and watch his ball reaction right there. The ball is a little thrown behind the receiver. Marshall comes up with the interception.
We talked about the turnover situation. Joe Gibbs wanted more. He's got one. And now with good field position. It's 14-9 Redskins. First down at the 45. Smith taken down quickly by Freddie Joe Nunn. Big possession for the Redskins, and certainly a bigger possession for the Cardinals.
And you saw Freddie Joe Nunn do what Gene Stallings wants him to do. He made that transition from linebacker to down line, and he's quick. He's faster than most defensive ends. That time he got penetration.
Sanders, Allen, and Monk are the wide receivers. 2nd and 13, Monk in motion. Rippon has time. This one's complete to Kelvin Bryant. So he gets some yardage back. Up to the 43-yard line. Tim McDonald makes the tackle there. This is a revamped secondary, John Dockery. Leonard Smith was traded this week to Buffalo. Roland Mitchell joins the Cards. So Lonnie Young moves to strong safety. Cedric Mack starts at the corner. And Tim McDonald, who is relatively inexperienced, is now being tested.
Exactly, gets his first NFL start, 2nd-year player out of USC.
3rd down and 7 for the Redskins. With time again, this is Kelvin Bryant. He'll be close to the first down. He's got it. Wayne Davis knocks him out of bounds. Nice pattern. Better catch by Kelvin Bryant. Washington now 6 for 10 on 3rd down conversions.
And it's classic. You want to get a back like Kelvin Bryant, nifty out of the backfield on a big linebacker like Wayne Davis, and you go for the completion. Makes it look very simple, but what's simple and what's impressive is that Mark Rippon hasn't missed a beat. He's running the offense as just the way that Doug Williams would run it.
Timmy Smith on 1st down. Nice move on the corner. Turns back inside and picks up 8 before Anthony Bell can dive and take his feet out. Tim Brant and John Dockery with you from Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. Hardly a cloud in the sky, very warm day, low humidity. Fine day for football. I know Joe Gibbs was very concerned about coming here and playing a day game. Tried to have the game changed, but it turned out it's not bad at all. 2nd and 1 at the 25. Smith is met immediately by E.J. Jr. Tried to spin, but couldn't get out of his grasp.
I'm laughing because on the play before, he left E.J. Jr. standing there grabbing air with an inside-outside fake. That time, E.J. Jr., as you take a look at it, the upper left-hand part of your screen, E.J. Jr. makes a good play right here. Wraps his arms, grabs on, and holds on. Look at how strong Jr. is to hold on.
Two-time Pro Bowler, E.J. Jr. Intelligent, calls the defense. He's a fine player. 8 minutes, 45 seconds remain, third period, 14-9. Washington leads. It's 3rd and 5 for Mark Rippon and the Redskins. Intercepted. This is Travis Curtis, the nickelback. Returns it to the 38-yard line. 17-yard return. It was intended for Sanders, but not well thrown.
The problem here was that Rippon and Monk had a choice on. Monk came out, he had a choice of going inside or outside. And this is the experience of not working with the player. See, Monk? Rippon thought he was coming inside, he went outside, and Curtis just picked up an easy pass that Rippon shouldn't have thrown.
Sanders made the tackle. The Cardinals have the football. We'll be back.
Ranked LSU Tigers against Emmitt Smith and the Florida Gators next Saturday on CBS Sports.
Redskins got a takeaway, then gave one right back. First down Cardinals, and they may have lost a yard. It was Tony Jordan, the ball carrier, and Alvin Walton, number 40, made the tackle. Third-year pro out of Kansas.
Show that interception again. You see the two receivers, that's Monk and Sanders. The Skins call this the rub-off. See, Monk, he wants to go inside, but he sees there's coverage, so he goes back outside. Rippon doesn't read it and throws the interception to Curtis.
And the word now from the Redskin bench is that Gary Clark has a sprained shoulder and will not return. Dexter Manley, Gary Clark, Redskins are getting banged up. This is Lomax. Pressure backside, ball loose. It's still loose. Cardinals get it back. There is a flag way upfield at the 41-yard line. Charles Mann made the tackle and knocked it loose from Lomax. Looked like a bar of soap down there. Louis Sharp finally got it back from the Cardinals. Here's Jerry Seaman. Tell us what happened. Holding against Washington. The world champions are making some mistakes.
And one of the things that Joe Gibbs is most unhappy about, they are a -5 in giveaway takeaway.
Holding, number 51 defense. The run ended behind the line of scrimmage. The ball will be put up the line of scrimmage. First down.
Number 51, Monty Coleman, called for that foul.
7 minutes, 30 seconds remain in the third period. Washington leads 14-9. And now word comes from the Washington bench. Dexter Manley will definitely not return. So that means Marcus Cook moves over to the other side. Last week he took Mann's place, who had the hip flexor. Now he moves over and takes Manley's place, who has the hamstring. There's Dexter. Mark Cook, 6'5", 275-pounder.
The run ended behind the line of scrimmage. The foul was beyond the line of scrimmage. We will go from the previous spot, 5 yards. First down.
Thank you, Jerry Seaman. I'm glad he explained it. Better him than us.
It's a strange day, isn't it? I feel like we're being tested. Glad you brought your rule book along, John Dockery. You never knew him when you played.
Some people say I still don't know.
First down at the 42 for the Cardinals. To give inside, up across the 45 to the 46-yard line. Earl Farrell makes the carry. Mann makes the tackle. Here's Brent Musburger. All right, Brent, that is indeed surprising.
35-17. Wow, the Giants not expecting that.
5 defensive backs now for the Redskins. Second down and 5. Ball on the 47. Lomax on the option. Mitchell knocked out of bounds at the 36-yard line by Steve Gage. Good run by Mitchell. Next Saturday on CBS Sports, 7th-ranked LSU takes on the 20th-ranked Florida Gators. That means Emmett Smith. And how about Tommy Hodson, quarterback for LSU, 20 of 40 yesterday, 300 yards, no interceptions, 69 points scored in that game with Ohio State.
You know what I see Tommy Hodson, I know Pat Hayden and Brent Musburger agree with me. I see a future pro quarterback. Good pocket passes, strong arm, one heck of a talent.
I agree with you. This is Jordan to the 34-yard line. Charles Mann will be credited with the tackle along with Dave Tutts.
You know, Tony Jordan, if you look at him closely and you look at his number, who does it remind you of? Remember the great running back?
O.J.?
O.J. Anderson. He's about the same size. He's 6'2", 220, and he runs like him, and the Cardinals expect him to be a super back for them.
I thought it was interesting when you asked Stump Mitchell about helping Tony Jordan so much.
Helping a guy who may take his job away.
And he says, well, Otis helped me.
That's a man for you.
2nd and 9, 35. Timing pattern in the corner. Complete to Novacek. They'll mark it at the 1.5-yard line. 34-yard gain.
Tim, the most dreaded play is a post corner for any defensive back. This time Novacek breaks to the inside. Alvin Walton is trying to cover him one-on-one, bites for the fake. The ball is beautifully thrown. Novacek makes the catch, almost rolls into the end zone. It would have been a touchdown because no defensive player had touched it. Bowles finally comes over to touch it.
The ball's marked inside the 1. It'll be 1st and goal, Cardinals. Trailing by 5. Look at this. Full house, key formation. Now the motion man. Jordan helped in, ball loose, touchdown. Novacek recovered in the end zone.
Jay Novacek recovered in the end zone. He also helped to get the ball carrier in the end zone. Watch Jay Novacek, number 85. Watch Jordan. He stopped right here. He does very well to stay on his feet. And watch him get a little push right there from a friendly tight end, number 85, his buddy Jay Novacek. Then he fumbles, and Novacek is right there to recover.
Of course, that's illegal. I think the ball had broken the plane before Novacek recovered it. Del Greco for the extra point. Now, who got credited with that touchdown? Novacek?
I think it was Jordan who got credit on a 1-yard touchdown. But let's take a look at it again.
The ball broke the plane.
Okay, let's take another look at it again from another angle. There's Novacek, number 85. First, you see Jordan is stopped, his momentum. Then his buddy comes along, gives him a little push. The ball has broken the plane.
That push is illegal.
I know it.
I'm afraid to say anything. They may have another conference. Will be taken on the 1. Jamie Morris to the 20. Out to the 27-yard line. Let's take another look at that touchdown. It's credited to Tony Jordan.
And I think it should be. If you watch, you will see Tony Jordan with the ball and break the plane of the goal line before he coughs it up. Right as he stretches out his arm, right there, it broke the plane. Then he's hit, the ball comes loose, and Novacek recovers.
I agree with that. We said that originally, but my concern was with the push.
Well, take a look at Novacek, number 85. I think it was almost an accidental push. See how he puts his hands up and say, wait, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, that's a good act. No. You used to do that. First down at the 29. McEwen has a Washington first down, knocked out of bounds at the 44-yard line. Tim McDonald knocks him out of bounds there. 20-yard gain.
And watch Novacek again. He bumps into his buddy, gives him a little bit of a hand right there, and then he takes his hands off to say, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. That was incidental, accidental, ref. I didn't do a thing. And they give Jordan the touchdown.
It's a moot point. Cardinals lead by 2. Ripping to throw on first down. Again, it's McEwen in the flats, and he's across midfield into Cardinal territory at the 45. Right now, let's go back to New York and Brent Musburger. Right, I guarantee the Washington fans are listening intently to everything that takes place in that game. With the Giants up next. Ripping now 16 of 25, 215 yards. Glasby takes down Timmy Smith. Gain of maybe 2. Glasby shaken up.
And you mentioned the Washington Giants game and the Redskin fans interested in that. Well, many Redskin fans, many people felt that the Giants didn't deserve to win the first game, the opener in the season. They came back to beat the Skins, so next week should be interesting.
That first game, too, is a moot point. There's a look at Bob Glasby, who came out of the ball game shaken up. Mark Goralczyk now takes his place. Temperature's going down a little bit.
Yeah, it's down to a cool 95 degrees, and you have to wonder how that will work on the offensive line of the Washington Redskins. What's the average, about 285?
Exactly.
San Francisco, wow, 31-0.
Kelvin Bryant comes into the ball game for Washington. It's 2nd and 9 from the 44. Monk in motion. Outside pressure. Nice sidestep by a Rippon, and it's complete to Kelvin Bryant. It'll be close to another first down, maybe 2 yards shy. Tackle was made by Wayne Davis. Another reminder. Next Sunday, the NFL Today on CBS with Brent, Irv, Will, and Dick Butkus. Next Sunday, all at 12:30, beginning 12:30 Eastern Time.
Did I hear Dick Butkus say that he was hiding behind an orange tree somewhere? There isn't an orange tree big enough to hide Dick Butkus.
An impossibility, huh? The crowd here in Tempe is getting fired up. 3rd and 2. Keith Griffin into the ball game now. Clutch catch by Kelvin Bryant, first down. Then to silence the crowd a little bit. Wayne Davis again makes the catch.
How about the clutch throw by Mark Rippon? And on a play before that, avoiding the rush and throwing well. Rippon, amazingly cool. Only in his 3rd year, his first NFL start. I'm amazed about his cool. And it's hard for a quarterback to see everything, but take a look at Ricky Sanders. He's out here, he's throwing a lot of fakes, and right there, Carl Carter falls down, and Ricky Sanders is wide open.
Rippon now 4 of 5 in the second half. First down, Redskins at the 32. Timeout, Washington. Now, we will keep a very close eye on the timeout situation in a ball game like this. And Washington and the Cardinals usually play close ball games. Traditionally, they have. Right now, Phoenix leads by 2, and every timeout now becomes very important. Talking about some of the games coming up next week. Now, they've already met once. These two teams, once is never enough. Giants and the Redskins. And now it moves to RFK Stadium. That'll be the first game of the doubleheader, followed by Minnesota, Miami, Phoenix, and the LA Rams. That's all coming up next Sunday on CBS.
You know, Tim, Brent mentioned the loss of Mark Ingram for the Giants, but they're expecting back a lift when Lawrence Taylor is supposed to be back on Wednesday. How effective he'll be after being away for 4 weeks or so is questionable, but even Lawrence Taylor at half or three-quarter speed is something that would really give the Giants a lift. They've missed him.
First down at the 32. Rippon with pressure. Throws this one away. It was in the area of Art Monk, but E.J. Jr. was coming quickly. And that's a wise move by a young quarterback.
There are quarterbacks that have been in this league, and I could mention Ken O'Brien as one of them for the Jets, who haven't learned what young Mark Rippon knows right now, and that's to throw away the ball rather than eating it for a sack.
Well, he's learned it, but he had to learn it the hard way.
Right.
He took the sack in the end zone, and now that 2 points has made the difference.
He took the sack in the end zone, but right there, he got rid of the ball and threw it away rather than taking another one.
Cardinals load up now with 5 defensive backs. Travis Curtis comes back into the ballgame. The Redskins now 2nd and 10. Kelvin Bryant comes in. Launching motion. Rippon has time. And the completion. Kelvin Bryant rides out of bounds at the 26-yard line. And he's having a big ball game. A couple clutch catches.
He certainly is. Tim McDonald wasn't far off, but Kelvin Bryant just knows how to work a defensive back and get clear. Again, the ball was well thrown. We now know for sure that Mark Rippon has a real strong arm. Kelvin having a good afternoon, as you mentioned. He's already caught 5 balls for 32 yards.
Rippon 7 for 8 in the second half. His only miss was the interception. 3rd and 4. Pressure. Is open. Incomplete. He wanted interference. Carl Carter was running behind him and running right up his back. No call, no flag.
The ball was pretty well thrown, especially when you consider the fact that none was in Rippon's face, and he had to throw this early. He's trying to get it up over the back. There is some contact. Sanders had a shot at catching that ball, but couldn't hold on. Carter might have blocked his vision and distracted him a little bit.
I'd say there was some contact. I'd say there was a distraction. Low Miller comes on to attempt the field goal from 44 yards out. McEwen is the holder. It's long enough, but it hits the upright and bounces back. No good.
Take a look at it again. It hits the right up post as you watch it here. Ball starts to curve. It looks like it might be good, and then it just comes off and hits this post, bounces back onto the field. And you know, Low Miller, the Washington coaches will tell you, is a guy they are very, very high on, and they expect him to be around for a decade. Ah, but he knew he missed it. Number 2 draft choice out of Minnesota.
33 seconds remain in the third quarter. And the Cardinals still lead by 2. Mitchell gets a couple. Some interesting scores today. Cincinnati stayed unbeaten.
There are only 3 unbeaten teams. It looks like the Rams are going to stay unbeaten as well against the Giants.
And so that'll do it. The end of the third quarter with the score. Phoenix 16. The world champion Washington Redskins 14. And we now pause for a word from your local stations. As we head into the last 15 minutes of the ball game, Phoenix clinging to a 2-point lead over the Washington Redskins, 16-14. It'll be 2nd down and 8, ball on the 28 for Neil Lomax and the Cards. Holmes in motion. Nice fake. Pitch back to Mitchell, and he loses about 5. Monty Coleman was all over the play. Lomax carried out the fake, but then on the option, Monty Coleman was all over it.
But you know what Lomax has done well? He hasn't thrown the ball particularly well, but he's balanced his offense, and he's kept the Redskins off balance. He's used Farrell well. He already has 76 yards on the afternoon. If you add another 34, 35 yards for Mitchell, you're up to about 110 yards or so rushing, and that's only 3 quarters worth of play, so they've used it well.
Look at this. They don't blow many leads. After 3 quarters, they're 32-2. And they've been leading. That goes all the way back to 1982. Second and 14. Lomax bounce pass to Novacek, incomplete. So Lomax now 6 of 14. 127 yards and an interception as Dexter looks on. Dexter has a hamstring pull.
But Dexter's still in the game. You see him right there. Give the high five to Wilbur Marshall.
Darrell Green is deep for Washington. Horn will try to punt it away from him. Here comes pressure. Horn to the 30. First down, Cardinals. I don't know if it was planned or not. 16-yard pickup. But it was successful.
You saw a little flash of Gene Stallings there. I don't know if it was planned. I don't think so. He's going to kick it right here. He sees it's going to be blocked, and he takes off, and there's nobody around. He knows where the first down marker is, right there, and gets by it.
Can't tell if it was pre-planned, but I can tell you this. Johnny Thomas of the Redskins was coming clean and had a heck of a shot at blocking it. Horn just tucked it away and got the first. Big play for the Cardinals, leading by 2. This is Farrell. Across midfield to the 47-yard line of the Redskins.
You know, we haven't given very much credit to the offensive line for the Cardinals. We all know they have pretty good tackles in Robbins and Sharp, but those interior men, kind of a rebuilding situation with some young players, Pete, Kennard, and Smith. But all afternoon, they've been doing a very good job on Butts and Grant in the middle. Take a look at it right here. The size of this hole for Farrell to run through.
Saw Darrell Grant was complaining of holding. It'll be first down at the 47. Cardinals look strong. Lomax drops it underneath to Farrell. To the 44-yard line, stretches ahead to the 43. No, Kaufman makes the stop.
You see the short drop by Neil Lomax. That's planned. Coming into the game, he knows that you're not going to have an awful lot of time against the Skins, so he wants to take the short 3-step drop, about 2.5, 3 seconds to throw the ball. That time he looked downfield with the intermediate pattern, couldn't find anybody, dumped it off to his back for a few yards.
Big Joe, Kobe. It is hot. 2nd and 5. This is Novacek with blockers. Outstanding play by Darrell Green, who went under the blockers and tripped up Novacek, or it could have been even more damage.
Novacek can do it all. I mean, he catches the ball. He helps his running back into the end zone for a touchdown. That time he runs the reverse. He's like an overgrown wide receiver as Wilbur Marshall is down on the field. Didn't he have a knee bothering him coming into this game, Tim?
He's been bothered by a sore knee. He had treatment early in the week, and he's not getting up here. We'll be back. First possession, touchdown pass to Monk. Then there was a safety. Then Tony Jordan scored for Phoenix. Then Rippon hit Ricky Sanders for an 18-yarder. Then Tony Jordan scored again. It's 16-14 Cardinals, and right now the Cards are driving, and it's a methodical drive.
It is, and that fake punt by Horn to pick up the first down was a key play in this drive.
Ron Wolfley comes in and joins Stump Mitchell. Lomax on first down, throws deep. Green, incomplete. Darrell Green was all over him.
You hear the boos, and you ask why was Roy Green hot? Because Darrell Green came back over the top of him. The question is, did he grab both arms before the ball got there? Take a look for yourself, folks. See his arms right there? Ooh, very, very close. He did what you should do as a defensive back. He brought that right arm over and hooked it in Roy Green's arm so he couldn't catch the ball.
Listen to this, Doc. You hear the crowd. They just saw the replay. gives straight ahead. They're working on Wilbur Marshall. Kurt Cavea makes the tackle along with Alvin Walton.
You see them bringing the oxygen over as well. We talked about the 100-degree temperatures here. That may affect the Redskins.
This will be the 10th play of the drive. It started on the 26th, and again they show the replay of Darrell Green on Roy Green. But these fans should be alerted to the fact that with the change in rules, it will be very difficult to get a pass interference call.
It is, and this is a great defensive play. We may get a chance to look at it in a minute, but right now let's get back to action.
3rd down and 6 for the Cards. 5 defensive backs for the Skins. This is Green to the 10, touchdown. Greco comes on to attempt the extra point. And it's good. Phoenix now leads 23-14.
Take a look at Roy Green ISO'd here. He's coming across the field. That's Darrell Green giving him a little bit of push. There's the good fake. And he runs away from Darrell Green, who has man-on-man responsibility, and that's just a calculated move by a wily veteran.
10 plays, 74 yards, 27-yard touchdown. They're getting the crowd excited here in the Valley of the Sun as Del Greco tees the ball up with a 23-14 lead. Jamie Morris standing on his own goal line for Washington. This will be taken by Morris at the 1. With a hole to the 33-yard line, and that's where Mark Rippon will have the offensive setup. Ricky Hundley made the tackle.
Let's take a look at the last TB. What we're circling here is the fullback Earl Farrell out of the backfield. That's where Lomax wanted to go, but he comes off to his second receiver, Roy Green. See him looking there? And then he comes back and almost throws it sidearm after good protection, and Green just takes it to the end zone with Darrell Green, the man responsible for him, chasing.
10 minutes, 37 seconds remain in the ball game. It's 23-14 Phoenix. First down, Redskins. Rippon sacked. Rod Sadler.
And Sadler, if you look on the lower right part of your screen, is working on Joe Jacoby, number 72. Jacoby gets a pretty good push outside. Sadler just comes around him. It looks like Jacoby got his feet tangled up a little bit and couldn't stay with him.
3rd time this afternoon that Rippon has been sacked. Second and 18. Incomplete. There is a flag. It was intended for Anthony Jones on the screen. Rippon took a lick, and there's a flag.
Freddie Joe Nunn is the man who came clean to hit Rippon.
It's against Washington.
And I was just about to say, I didn't think it was a late hit. He still had the ball, and it wasn't.
Illegal motion, number 81 offense. Penalty decline, 3rd down.
That's Art Monk. $62,632 fans in Sun Devil Stadium screaming for defense. 3rd and 18. Almost intercepted. Oh, my. Anthony Bell had the ball and couldn't hold on.
And you get that sense of the wave, the momentum from this no-name defense going against an offensive line that has 4 Pro Bowl players.
Barnhart will have to kick it away. That's not an easy proposition with Visekahema back there. A high spiraling punt. Visekahema at the 20. Ridden out of bounds at the 30. And Johnny Thomas is down. 54-yard punt, 8-yard return. Johnny Thomas was there almost at the exact same time the ball was caught.
That was the problem, Tim. Johnny Thomas was actually down there too soon. He couldn't hit the receiver, the punt return man, because it would have been a penalty before he caught the ball. So he had a problem. He tried to pull up. He couldn't. He must have caught his leg. See him right there? See him twist because he tries not. He's holding his left knee. He tries not to hit the punt return man. He hurts himself.
23-14. Cards. 7 of the last 8 times they've played. Right now, the Redskins are in some trouble with 9:42 remaining in this ball game. The trainer's still working on Johnny Thomas of the Redskins.
And for Gene Stallings, I mean, he hasn't exactly in his 3rd year here with the Cardinals. He's 12-21-1 in 3 years. So a win against the Super Bowl champion Redskins would certainly put his Cardinals back on track.
I'll tell you what, they believe they could be 3-0 very easily. They lost by a touchdown at Cincinnati. They lost by less than that against Dallas. And they beat Tampa Bay. That doesn't look good.
Really doesn't it? That knee is dangling.
Manley has already gone out with a hamstring injury. Wilbur Marshall went out with a knee.
And J.T. Smith is also out. Tells you something about the intensity level of this game.
It's always that way when these two get together. First down, Cardinals. Again, Farrell blasts up the middle. Good yardage there. Gets out to the 37-yard line. Alvin Walton will be credited with the stop, but a big gain by Farrell. It all continues next Sunday. The Giants and the Redskins. Giants making a comeback with 24 points on the boards now. Redskins are banged up. That's game 1. Then game 2 after that. Minnesota against Miami or Phoenix and the Rams. Farrell will not get the first down. Charles Mann stands him up on about the 37.5-yard line. We're still working on Johnny Thomas.
And what's interesting, Tim, as you watch him working on Thomas, is that the clock starts to become, in fact, 8:45 left in this game. A touchdown won't do it for the Skins, so they'll have to get 2 scores.
Another point, Doc, looking beyond this game, the Redskins have only 3 cornerbacks left with Johnny Thomas out. That's Davis, Kevin Williams, who they brought in this week, and Darrell Green. 3rd and 1. Tight formation, blast straight ahead. First down, Cards, Farrell.
Earl Farrell is doing a lot of it on his own. He goes over Pete and Lewis Sharp, 6 feet, 240 pounds, and he just carried the Redskin defensive line for that first down. You see a little pushing and shoving going on. Ray Brown doesn't like what's going on down there.
No, but it's good to see Wilbur Marshall back in there. If you're a Redskin fan, if you're any kind of fan, you hate to see somebody go out with an injury. Meanwhile, Farrell having a terrific game. 16 carries, 104 yards. First down, Phoenix at the 42. Mitchell. Man slides off. Mitchell carries the ball to the 45-yard line. He goes out of bounds there. Tackle made by Neil Olkowitz.
It's interesting. It hasn't been all Neil Lomax today. It hasn't been all Stump Mitchell or Earl Farrell. It's really been a balanced attack where Farrell has gone over 100 yards. Yes, Lomax connected when he had to. But the offensive line doing an excellent job against a very solid Washington Redskin defensive line. Guys you've never heard of before, like Smith, Kennard, Pete.
It'll be 2nd and 7. With 7 minutes exactly remaining in the ball game. Farrell again. This time he's met quickly by Alvin Walton, who came out of his strong safety position.
And the Cardinals are in that conservative clock-eating offense, running the ball, hoping to let that clock run, get a first down here or there. It's interesting being in Gene Stallings' office yesterday and him showing us that book. Of course, he's a real Bear Bryant fan. He spent a lot of time with Bear Bryant, 12 years.
Well, the book you referred to was Bear Bryant's first book, Champions. And that man right there was the ghost writer.
He actually wrote it and shared the royalties with Bear Bryant.
Dexter.
Pacing the sidelines.
3rd down and 6. Ball's loose. And the Cards will have to punt it away with 6 minutes left. Lomax got it back. Phoenix only 6 of 13 this afternoon on 3rd down conversions. So the Redskins send Darrell Green back to receive the punt from Greg Horn. And he's dangerous. 5 minutes, 45 seconds remain. Green fields it at the 14. Gets a block to the 30-yard line.
Oh, my goodness.
Coming up next Saturday on CBS Sports, college football as 7th-ranked LSU takes on Florida. And the Gators have their Heisman hopeful, Emmitt Smith, the running back. LSU and Florida next Saturday here on CBS.
Those are certainly two of the better teams in college football. I have to say Miami, probably the best team in college football at the moment, although there are some other good ones. USC, big game yesterday against Oklahoma, but in that game, Emmitt Smith, oh, what a runner.
First down, ball on the 30, 5:28 remaining in the ball game. Rippon throws incomplete. It was intended for Kelvin Bryant, who had cleared and come open. Washington has to be economical now with the clock.
Tim, let me put this game in perspective if I can. First start ever from Mark Rippon. He has to have 2 scores, a touchdown and a field goal to win this game. The Redskins going to find out something about their young quarterback now as the pressure is directly on his shoulders. They can't have a ball control, time-consuming drive. He's got to get a quick score and get the ball back.
He's missed on his last 4 attempts. This one's complete. Sanders to the 44-yard line. Anthony Bell makes the tackle, but it's a first down Washington. Clock now approaching 5 minutes. 13-yard pickup. That's Johnny Thomas. Rippon on first. With time. Anthony Allen complete another first down into Cardinal territory. They mark it at the 37. Travis Curtis made the tackle.
With time and with the strong arm, that ball probably traveled about 20 yards, and it never was more than about 6 feet off the ground. He puts velocity on that ball. And true, the Cardinals are playing that weak zone. They're letting him move the ball. That's dangerous.
20-yard gain for Washington. Underneath, Ripon has Monk. Needs a block to the 20. Down inside the 20 to the 19-yard line before Travis Curtis can knock him out of bounds.
And Ripon right now is taking what the defense gives him. He's not trying to force the ball in anywhere. He's not trying to get the touchdown right now at all costs, but he's taking those underneath patterns like Monk, delaying and coming underneath.
Clock stopped at 4:04. Rippon's looking for Monk. Now goes to the middle. Anthony Allen to the 12-yard line.
And we haven't seen that all afternoon where Mark Ripon rolls out to get away from the pressure and throws the ball on the run to Allen. Take a look at it again. This is Allen coming all the way across the field. At this moment, Rippon's rolling out, waiting for him to come through.
2nd and 3. This is Monk to the 4-yard line. First down, Redskins. Lonnie Young with the tackle. Mark Ripon now 5 of 6 on this drive. And he takes a timeout. 3 minutes and 20 seconds remain in the ball game. Phoenix leads 23-14. It's 1st and goal at the 4 for the Redskins.
A very impressive drive by the young quarterback, completing short passes, letting the receivers run with the ball. Excellent drive.
Thus far. He needs points badly. Don't forget, it all starts again next Sunday at 12:30 Eastern Time with Brent Irv, Will McDonough, and Dick Butkus. The NFL Today. He'll bring you up to date on everything that's taking place. Newsy show today.
Certainly.
A lot about that man, Mark Ripon.
Exactly. Who is Mark Ripon? I think people have a better sense of who he is now. He may be a youngster, but he has the presence of mind, the cool of a veteran, a strong arm. Done an excellent job this afternoon.
And, of course, they'll get the other half of that story tomorrow night as Jay Schrader gets his first start with the Raiders. 3 minutes, 20 seconds remain. 1st and goal at the 4 for Washington. Ripon to the 2-yard line. Or couldn't get across the goal line. Knocked out of bounds by Timmy McDonald, the 2nd-year pro out of USC.
And now you see that situation substitution coming in. The Redskins sending in 3 players. The Cardinals countering with some defensive backs and linebackers.
The clock continues to move at 2:45. Ripon. Touchdown, Washington. Anthony Allen. And Ripon was nailed by Travis Curtis, who came on the blitz.
Confusion in a defensive backfield with Tim McDonald and Lonnie Young playing together for the first time this afternoon. Nobody picked up the receiver deep in the end zone. Of course, all of this motion and movement causes some confusion. You see 43 inside Young, and you see McDonald standing by the goal line. McDonald should have been on the receiver.
Chip Lohmiller, who missed a field goal earlier, nails this extra point. So it is now 23-21 Phoenix with 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the ball game. As you get a good look at Anthony Allen, 4-year pro out of Washington, 5'11", 182 pounds. And until David Archer came into camp, that right there was the backup quarterback for Mark Rippon. Anthony Allen.
Is that right? Okay, I was wondering who the other quarterback would be if someone went down. But look at 306 yards for Mark Rippon in his first NFL start.
Coming up tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes. Everybody's favorite news program. And followed by a CBS News special, The Presidential Debate. Then a summary and analysis. Followed by Murder, She Wrote. That's all coming up tonight on CBS. Washington has one timeout remaining. 2 minutes and 30 seconds remain in the ball game. Redskins trail by 2.
And Tim, we talk about Joe Gibbs and his confidence in Mark Rippon. Well, what about that drive? 8 plays, 70 yards, all passes. 7 of 8 on the drive for Rippon.
I assume you kick it away here. You have the 2-minute warning. That'll stop it once. Then you've got the timeout. That'll stop it twice.
I would think they would kick it away here.
Of course, the new 40-second clock favors the Cardinals. Low Miller to kick off. By Sikahema and Stump Mitchell deep for the Cardinals. Stump Mitchell. Very nice play by Terry Orr, who made the tackle. Clock down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
An important tackle by Orr because of the field position. Obviously, if Washington can get the ball back and kick a field goal, they will steal this game. Lomax and the Cardinals now want to get a first down, run that clock out, get some running plays going.
That's the story. Gibbs straight ahead to Farrell, not much there. He may have lost a yard. Charles Mann takes him down. And immediately the clock is stopped with 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Redskin timeout. Tim Brant and John Dockery with you in Tempe, Arizona, Sun Devil Stadium in the Valley of the Sun. More than 60,000 fans here to watch the Cardinals and the Redskins. Always a physical game. And this game's been fun. It's had a little bit of everything, John Dockery.
It's gone back and forth. Both teams battling away as they normally do. The debut of Mark Rippon, a very impressive one. Questions about Neil Lomax coming into the game, his arthritic hip. He's played well. He's used his running backs effectively. What I don't like about the Cardinals situation, both on offense last time.
That's 7-2. Redskins have used their last timeout. Stump Mitchell. Ball's loose. Cardinals get it back.
Oh.
Next stop, the 2-minute warning. That'll put a flutter in the heart of both those men. So 2 minutes remain. Redskins trail by 2. Remain in the ball game. The Cardinals lead Washington by 2. And it's 3rd down and 7 for Phoenix.
And there was a collective sigh on that last play when Earl Farrell fumbled the ball. He recovered it himself.
Redskins are coming. And they stop him. Alvin Walton made the tackle. Clock continues at 1:50. It was 14-9 Washington at the half. Tony Jordan then scored in the second half for Phoenix. 27-yard touchdown pass Lomax to Roy Green. It's 23-14. And Washington just scored. It's 23-21. Greg Horn will punt. Darrell Green will be deep. Horn, 4 punts today. 44-yard average. Green standing on his own 40-yard line. High spiraling punt. Green will receive it at the 32. Returns it to the 42-yard line. And the clock is at 1:02.
Let me just tell you that Chip Lohmiller, place kicker, has terrific range. He can kick them from 50 yards, but bear in mind that he missed a field goal only minutes ago from 44 yards. So what Rippon has to do now is move that ball down the field to get him in good field goal range, and if he can kick it, they'll win by 1.
Lohmiller, 1 for 1, inside the 49 to the 40. He's strong from there. He's 2 for 3, 30 to 39 yards. He does have a strong leg, and it's accurate. 1:02 remaining. Here's pressure. Incomplete. It was intended for Kelvin Bryant at the 30.
Credit that incompletion to Freddie Joe Nunn. Jim Lachey trying to hold him out. He got the big outside rush, forced Rippon to throw that ball a moment before he wanted to.
So the clock stops at 57 seconds.
There's the rookie out of Minnesota, Chip Lohmiller.
Again, there's pressure. Backside pressure. Ball's loose. Cardinals have it. Cedric Mack, touchdown, Phoenix. A starter this week when Leonard Smith was traded. Del Greco on for the extra point. And it's good. And they love it in Phoenix.
If Mark Rippon has one weakness, and we mentioned it earlier, he is not swift of foot. Here he does scramble away a little bit, but Cosby, number 79, puts pressure, and then the speed of Freddie Joe Nunn from behind causes the fumble. He hit that arm, and Cedric Mack gets the big bounce and takes it downfield 45 yards for the touchdown.
The fans here at Sun Devil Stadium are reliving the moment as they watch it on the big screen. Cedric Mack, a 6-year pro out of Baylor. The emotion of Gene Stallings' family. His wife, Ruth Ann, Johnny Stallings there in the middle. You may have seen him on the United commercials, the United Way commercials.
And Gene Stallings is trying to build something here. Today he's doing it at expense of the Super Bowl champions and Joe Gibbs.
41 seconds remain in the ball game. Del Greco will kick off for Phoenix, and deep for Washington will be Jamie Morris. Ball's loose. Cardinals get it back. Ken Harvey, who got the sack earlier, gets the recovery here. And the Cardinals are just having fun now.
Everything's going right for the Cardinals. Watch it, the ball hits one of the Redskins, bounces back up, and where does the bounce go? Right to the Cards, much the way the bounce went to Cedric Mack only moments ago when he returned that fumble for a touchdown. When it's right, Tim.
37 seconds remain in this ball game here, and at the conclusion of this game, we'll be taking you to the Giants-Rams game.
The Rams having some fun with the Giants. The score there now 45-24.
Cardinals will just run out the clock.
It's interesting, Tim. Phoenix will face the Rams next week, and Washington will go against the Giants.
Although there's 33 seconds left, now 30, with the new 40-second clock, it makes no difference. That'll be it. So the Cardinals go to 2-2, as do the Redskins in the NFC East. And a big win for that man, Gene Stallings. 5 seconds still remain, and the crowd is going to wait it out. They love it. That's it. It's official. It's in the books. So the final score, Phoenix 30, Washington 21. For John Dockery, I'm Tim Brant saying so long from Tempe. Right now, let's take you to the Rams-Giants game at Summerall and John Madden.